Sky Squad, we are back in the building and it is time to talk Married to Medicine. So, we're talking Married to Medicine season 9. I think it's episode 9, The Breaking Point. And in this episode, both Toya and Eugene have discovered that they have reached their breaking point. So, we'll get into more about that. But first things first, I want us to get into rating the episode. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to rate this episode. I'm going to rate it an 8 point. I'm going to rate it a 9. I'm going to rate it a 9 because I was interested. I was intrigued. The conversations that both Dr. Eugene and Toya had individually about their marriage and where they are with regards to both of their mental health, I felt was so important on to see on this show. There was Dr. Jackie having a conversation with a lesbian couple that I thought was a conversation that we don't typically see on television on these types of shows. I felt like we got to know more about Audra last night, and I am finding her to be a rather infectious person on this show. And so we get a little bit more into why Dr. Heavenly and Dr. Damon were so kind of testy with each other. Well, really, we felt like Dr. Damon was a bit testy last episode, but we get into a bit more of why that was. And so I just overall found this episode to be quite interesting, except for a few things. And we'll get into that, which is why I can't give it a 10. And there was no dramatic argument, there was nobody dragging each other. There were just deep conversations that I felt like were phenomenally filmed, edited, and portrayed. And so sometimes that makes an episode great as well. And I know some people may be bored by it. Some people may need a lot of antics, yelling, fussing, and chaos. But that's not always what I look for in a show. And as I'm watching, again, Housewives of Atlanta this season, as well as Married to Medicine, um, there is a level of toxicity that doesn't exist within the fandom for these shows as it does for like a Beverly Hills, which is just, I mean, it is just a hard watch, right? But these feel fun. So let's get into it. Um, Dr. Heavenly stops by Dr. Damon's second pain treatment office. And again, it's something to be celebrated that this is a Black man opening up his second pain center after determining that working in the emergency room was not for him. They recap dinner at Simone's. He apologizes actually for getting upset with her, which we talked about last week. He really came into the situation wanting to be the peacemaker. And she says that she understands, and she realizes that she and Contessa are going to need some time to really heal and mend their relationship. And she apologizes to Dr. Damon if she hurt his feelings. But she also says that she's going through something with her mom, but that does not excuse her behavior. And he says he didn't realize how much internally she was going through with dealing with her mom. Because as we all know, I feel like grief manifests itself, grief and fear over what she's going to have to do and how she's going to have to move as her mom is entering this really critical phase of her life. And, it's almost really honestly hard to watch because, she talks about how her mom asked her to let her go. And man, it's just, my heart just goes out to her as I watch this scene. And that's what I liked about this episode is that I don't like what I hate, you hate to see somebody going through this, but it's real. You know what I'm saying? And they're chronicling the real struggle that someone deals with. And I can do nothing but respect it, even though I felt like, shedding a couple of little, thug tears myself. You know what I'm saying? We see Doctors Contessa and Dr. Scott recap Heavenly and Contessa's, continued beef from last week. And she says she's over it and she can't really imagine what Heavenly is going through with her mom. And she's really kind of wanting to give Dr. Heavenly a pass at this moment. She says that she's texted Dr. Heavenly and she considers her like a sister, but right now she's going to love her from afar. And Dr. Scott encourages her to support Dr. Heavenly as she goes through this. And to me, I feel like with everything that's going on with Dr. Heavenly's mom, I just feel like with Dr. Scott being in Dr. Heavenly's corner, I feel like there is a real opportunity here for Dr. Contessa and Dr. Heavenly to really come together, especially in light of what's going on with Dr. Heavenly's mom. Because if Scott's in a good place with Dr. Heavenly, I feel like Contessa really should be as well. You know what I'm saying? Clearly, Dr. Scott and Dr. Contessa have done some work, to get on a better path. Okay, so I feel like the stuff that was said on Dr. Heavenly's YouTube was really a reflection of what people saw on the screen and what was being said. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like everybody's in a different place now. So we can pretty much, in my mind, let this go. So anyway, Audra, we finally get a solo scene of Audra and her husband, and we get a confessional of them. We learn that they got married at the courthouse. They want to have an official wedding in Atlanta. She kind of admits to having billion-dollar dreams, but on a budget. And in next week's episode, we'll see sort of I don't want to call it the dichotomy, but we'll see the differences between, the way she views sort of budgeting and finances compared to someone like a Toya, okay, who is portrayed as someone who spends a bit more lavishly, given the fact that she doesn't necessarily have a traditional job. Okay, I hope I put that as politically correctly as I could. Okay. I like Audra and her husband. I mean, there's personality there. There's interest there to me that is an added bit of fresh air to this show. And to be quite honest with you, I am a bit more interested in Audra than I am with Anila, even though I think Anila does add a diverse element to the show. There's something about Anila that always to me comes across as like, is this real? Is what I'm getting from you real? You know what I'm saying? Because of the whole blogging thing that we don't tend to really see much of. And granted, she could have a whole audience somewhere else that we just don't know. It just hasn't manifest in the way that TV is show and tell. You can tell me something, but you can show me better than you can tell me. And by showing that, I'm talking you're blogging. Where's your blog at? It hasn't been updated since 2019. The last time we checked, it could be updated now. Are you doing YouTube videos? Where's your, there should be continuous reels. I've given examples of some very successful, fashion bloggers who really, really are putting in the work that I just don't see happening with Anila. But we will get to Anila a bit later. We learned that Audra and her husband have a remaining balance of $40,000 on their wedding, and he's gonna have to start pulling some more teeth overtime at the dentist office, because I think he's a dentist too. Speaking of Anila, she's driving with her mom, and mom has been living with them for about a week, dropping stuff all over the house, making the house look like a pig pen. And Anila says she is so busy blogging, she couldn't even spend time with the kids yesterday. We do learn, now this to me is more interesting than Anila and her blogging, is the fact that she is opening a raw Indian hair showroom, okay? Now, this to me is the business for you, Anila, okay? Because there's an actual location. There are actual business partners. There's a story here. When she was, when she had her babies, she talked about losing her hair and her using these uh raw hair or raw Indian hair micro links to make her hair more full. Now, to me, again, this is the business right here, baby. This is your money maker, Anila. This is where I can see it happening because you're taking me to the showroom. And I don't know why you continue to take mom everywhere, because mom is a bit of a buzzkill. No disrespect to your mother. I'm sure she's a very nice woman. I'm sure her food is amazing. But in terms of you taking her places and getting her input and her feedback, it is, you are making a mess of your own situation by continuing to take your mom, who is a bit overbearing and who just seems to, I mean, again, like I said, she kind of just is a little bit of a buzzkill with your dreams and ambitions and stuff. So stop taking her to places with you, to your new business. You need positive energy, and your mom doesn't seem to be bringing that level of energy. Maybe perhaps because she doesn't believe in you, or maybe she just doesn't believe that she could do it, so she doesn't believe that you could do it. Whatever the case may be, leave her at home. Okay, leave her at home. Dr. Jackie has some ladies stop by from, I guess, what's called the Dumb Gay Politics podcast. And they're there to get their cooters cleansed and checked in the OBGYN way, the gynecological way. And we learned that one of them has not, seen an OBGYN or a gynecologist in about 14 years. That's wild to me, because I feel like you don't think about, I mean, it's, because I'm a man, so I don't really think about how many times women have to go to the gynecologist. Like, how many times per year do you have to go? Is it more than once? Is it once? Is it once every 2 years? Like, how often are you there? Um, and I just thought it was interesting to see. And I thought, I again, this is one of those areas where I feel like Married to Medicine shines in ways that other shows don't, because really the practice of medicine is so very interesting and so critical for so many people, that there's all types of ways that you can explore possibilities on this show. And I love it. I absolutely love it. It is so fascinating to me. Kieran has prepared a men's pampering day where they, dress Dapper Dan style, and they can come and get some injectable treatments and things like that. Nobody wants to get none, but let me tell you something. If I was there, tap me on my forehead with a little bit of Botox, because I got the wrinkles right here, right? I did tell y'all I got the Botox in my cheeks to stop my teeth from grinding, but I got another appointment because I need stronger because I don't know what's going on. I'm still grinding my teeth, so we're gonna have to figure out something, because I mean, that's an expensive treatment for it to not last as long as I feel like it needs to, or either that, or she just need to give me more shots. Okay, but I'll update y'all on that as time goes on. Um, you know, Dr. Eugene talks about Toya getting the O shot and asked the other men if their wives got the O shot. And, in their confessional, it's interesting because Dr. Eugene talks about how Toya makes it seem like she is this, you know, bedroom vixen. Like, she just needs it, wants it, craves it all the time. And he is like, ain't none of that true. You are not the video vixen in the bedroom that you are claiming to be. Okay. Dr. Damon does talk about getting a bio T shot, which is, I guess, a slow release of testosterone, and how good that was for him. But apparently it was a little too good, so he had to stop getting it. And then Dr. Eugene starts thinking about how hard he's working and how much stuff he's actually missing. And the night is reminding him about how stressed he actually is. And Dr. Damon tells him, listen, bro, like, I ain't worked a weekend in about 6 years. Okay. Um, and I can definitely tell you guys that, people who work in the emergency room, my hats are off to you because I've seen just how hard the work is, how daily it is, how it's a 24/7. It can be a 24/7 thing because especially during the pandemic, I mean, I can only imagine what Dr. Eugene was going through. And so my heart really does go out to him. And I think that this conversation is so important to have. Um they get into playing some tricks on Audra's husband and whatever like that. But Toya goes to visit Lady C, who is her spiritual advisor. Okay. We learned that Eugene's issues have started to weigh on her. So she felt like she needed somebody to talk to. She reveals that the emotional side of him disappeared during the pandemic. Well, I'm like, girl, he was working. I mean, I'm sure all types of hours. And then seeing people pass like that, it can't be easy on your psyche. She said it created a divide in the household. The kids were telling her that she's not happy and that she's crying and she's emotional. And then she said she started blaming Eugene because he was working so many hours. And I'm like, it's two sides to this, right? There is the reality of that man's job, and you having to understand one, the reality of that man's job is that he works in the emergency room, which can be, it can be 24/7. It can be 24/7. You also know, I mean, you knew this was this man's profession. And that's how y'all make a lot of y'all money, I'm assuming. Now, I'm sure you got some your avenues, Toya, from what you do with Bravo and other business ventures that I know that you've talked about that we don't necessarily see. But I just kind of like wonder, like, is it selfish? But I don't feel like it's also right for her to ignore her own feelings. So I'm torn on this one. Um, Lady C tells her that she needs to communicate what she needs, but she also has to communicate to Eugene what she's willing to give. And she feels like she's not getting anything, so she's not sure how to keep giving after these 14 years. And so Lady C, who is the spiritual advisor, encourages her to write it down. Okay. Dr. Eugene goes to visit Dr. Damon to get his perspective on how he created a life outside of emergency medicine. And Dr. Eugene feels like after the pandemic, something changed in him. And this is, again, probably one of the more intriguing storylines on this show because Dr. Damon tells him about how unhappy he was in the ER, and he encourages Dr. Eugene to find something else. And that's when Dr. Eugene realizes that he does need a break. Over at Anila's house, okay. Oh Lord. Her mom is cooking, the place is a mess. And mama is like, girl, I'm a chef. I am not a housekeeper. I am not Miss Gomez. Okay. I don't have time to clean and cook and do everything. All right. You're gonna have to do something. Okay. And then in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, girl, if you don't hire yourself another nanny and get your mama up out of your house, you will be a lot happier because mama is creating a mess for you. All right. And Anila doesn't have time for these things because, she has to blog and things, as she keeps reminding us. The photographer's on the way. Where are the photos? But, she's got to do things. She's got things to do and clothes to put on. And so mom is twirling around in the blogging room. And mom says, I'm not going to follow your rules. You need to follow my rules because I'm your mama and I'm living in your house and I'm going to tell you what to do. Cheers to the girls' weekend. Okay. I'm in your house and I'm going to tell you what to do. And Anila is like, she's feeling like a 15-year-old with her mom telling her what to do at the age of 42. And I'm like, Anila, this is, you are rolling around in your own mess. You created this monster. You are the person who continues to allow her to run over top of you like this. If you don't send your mother on her merry way, hire a new nanny and get it pushing. Okay. So that is this week's Married to Medicine. Let me know what you guys thought about it down in the comment section down below. With that being said, I will catch you guys in the next video.